New York and LA nightlife back in the late 90s and early 2000s were small worlds. If you were famous, you'd see the same faces over and over again. Over time, those parties stopped being events and started becoming symbols. Symbols of excess, control, and silence. But here's the thing, symbols aren't evidence. The internet flattened years of complex moments into one dark storyline, assuming everyone there was part of something hidden. But that's not how it works. Some people were there for business, others for fun, others just for visibility. Yet, online storytelling loves the simple version. If you were there, you must have been involved. And when the new documentary started digging through old footage and interviews, they brought all those memories back, but stripped away the context. It made the past look darker, more dangerous, but not necessarily more accurate. Now back to the Tyson story. Man, that one stuck with me. Back in the 90s, I worked for the Harlem Madam. She'd go club to club, recruiting girls who wanted to make...
He always respected me as a lyricist and as a writer. And that's what kept me up there from 2002 to 2009.
Well, did you at least see any parties or been to his parties? The infamous Diddy parties that everybody talks about?
I've been to the parties, but like I said, I don't know. They select you. You're selected.
Be more descriptive.
I'm gonna be more selective. You have to fit a certain description. You have to fit a certain mannerism for you to be led down that hallway with the door.
Hold on.
I'm giving it to you real. You have to fit a certain description, a certain mannerism, a body type, a type of mannerism, a type of mentality for you to get led down that hallway with them doors.
Somebody such a pretty looking boy.
Time out. Wait a minute. Time out. What I want to ask you at that time, like why? Why am I being excluded from this? That didn't like raise your antennas of that?
Me being young, and at that time, I just wanted to be famous, and I wanted to be a superstar off of rap music.
Yeah, but something you didn't want to be in those parties? Hold on. Something's behind that closed door, right?
Bro, but it wasn't out like it is now. It's not.
Yeah, but you want to know.
You can go on the internet and
but he's probably not looking at it
it's
like
not
that.
out like it is now. It was still taboo. Nobody was speaking on it.
Yeah.
You couldn't speak on it. You didn't have a network of people that could huddle up and talk about it. Yeah, that network of people outweighed yours by far.
Yeah,
you would get pushed into a little corner talking about who's this and who's that.
Yeah.
You would run into a brick wall because it would be those on the other side.
I know what you're saying.
Let me keep it a beam with you. The way they attack you is through photo shoots and video shoots. They send in the stylists. If you're getting your hair braided, one of those two guys might be not the way you think they should be. And if you're showing them the most love and yippity yappity with them, that's the battlefield. That's where they see, oh, he had a lot of rap for the guy over here.
Right.
He's one of them.
All right.
That's
what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking
they can see who it is. Who's who.
Yeah, they just go. Yes, I wear my pants off my ass. I wear jerseys. I smoke weed all day. I'm bringing the house. He's not. Ness is not the candidate.
That's right. Ness is
not the candidate for the boy.
You wasn't like that.
Nah,
so let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this. Who out the group of that, who y'all was with, was kind of,
I don't know.
As escorts, that was her hustle. This one time, after KG from Naughty by Nature's brother came home from college, you know what college I'm talking about, I took a few girls to his party. Later, that same madam called me and said 2 girls had to go to Mike Tyson's condo on 57th Street. Tyson had this luxurious spot out there. Everyone knew it. I drove them down thinking it'd be quick. I was a Tyson fan myself. Had his shirt in my car, wanted his autograph so bad, but I knew that wouldn't look professional, so I held back. Still, man, this was the Iron Mike Tyson era. He was representing New York strong. So I waited in the car, and after about 20 minutes, one of the girls came back downstairs looking shaken. I asked what happened, and that moment right there, that story, became part of the myth. People took fragments of conversations and spun them into conspiracies. But that's how stories grow in this industry. Fast, dramatic, and never the full truth. She came back down and I asked, what happened? And she just shook her head like, nothing. I was like, wait, hold up. You said he wanted 2 girls. I knew he couldn't handle 2 at once, but why'd he ask for them then? She said, no, it was just him up there. And that's when I knew it was about to get weird. She told me he gave each of them $1,500, then said, yo, Gene, he went crazy for that girl, like an animal. I was stunned. She said she tried to back out, told him she wasn't feeling well, and handed his money back. But he told her, nah, keep 1,000, thank you.
Tell me about the time that you took 2 girls to 57th Street for Mike Tyson.
You want to know that story? Back in the day, I used to work for the Harlem Madam. The Harlem Madam was this young lady who would go to clubs, and girls who was looking to make extra money for being escorts, she would hire them to do work for them. You know what I mean? So this one particular time, I had actually, when KG from Naughty by Nature brother had came home from college, and y'all know what college I'm talking about, I took a few girls to his party. You understand? So the same woman that I worked for, she had to take, 2 girls had to go to Mike Tyson on 57th Street. Mike Tyson had a condominium down, I think it was 57th Street. And I took the 2 girls down there. This was a long time. This was in the 90s, early part, the mid 90s or something like that, when Mike Tyson was the man. So I wanted them to, you know, I had this Tyson shirt in my truck and I wanted them to sign it, but I was like, yo, that shit wouldn't be professional or nothing like that. But I was a fan of Mike Tyson. I had a situation in a club before when he was trying to talk to a girl named April, and April was my friend and I was with her. So then, you know, I knew of Mike Tyson, but this is way before Zip had got involved with him. So I'm sitting there and I take the 2 girls down there. So they go upstairs and everything. I wanted so bad to tell them, yo, give me his autograph, give me Tyson's autograph. You understand? Because like I told you, this one Tyson was the man, you know, everybody, you know, yo, he represented New York to the fullest. So they go upstairs. So it was about 15, 20 minutes later, the one girl came back downstairs. And I said, what happened? She was like, nothing. I said, yo, I thought he wanted 2 girls. I said, I knew he couldn't handle 2 girls, but why he wanted 2 girls? He had other people up there. She said, no, it was just him. And I was like, yeah? I said, what happened? She said, he gave each one of us $1,500. And he said, yo, Gene, he just tore into that girl like crazy, like an animal. I was like, yeah? He said, yo. And I know this is a family program, and I know some children may be watching. He said, I wasn't gonna let him do my he was doing. So I told him I wasn't feeling good, and I gave him his money back, and I was leaving. He said, nah, just keep $1,000 and thank you. You understand? He gave the other $500 to the girl. And so we stayed in the car waiting for the girl to come back down. She came down after an hour and a half was up. I was like, oh, that shit was crazy. She said, yo, Gene, he a beast.
You and let her go. The other $500 went to the other girl. I waited downstairs in the car, clocking every minute till the second girl came down, an hour and a half later. When she finally showed up, she looked exhausted and just said, yo, Gene, he a beast. Now, Mike Tyson's name doesn't just pop up in these conversations for no reason. It's because he's been real about his past, painfully honest. Tyson's never hidden that he lost control back then, surrounded by yes men and bad habits. But here's where people twist it. His honesty makes him an easy target. Folks hear him admit to wild times and suddenly, they're connecting him to every scandal from that era. The logic sounds good in gossip, it feels juicy, but it skips one crucial thing: proof. There's never been verified evidence of Tyson doing anything wrong at Diddy's parties. No formal complaints, no named accusers, no official charges, nothing. The only thing that connects them is timing and fame. Tyson was global royalty, Diddy was rising to power. They were bound to be in the same room sometimes. That's not suspicious, it's the nature of fame. The real issue is how people rewrite history. They take those overlaps, add emotion, and create fake certainty. Tyson's raw honesty becomes a free pass for imagination instead of what it really is, accountability for the things he did admit. Now, back to the documentary. This one stirred up everything. Roger Bonds came out saying Diddy thought money could get him out of anything. And honestly, he's not wrong. How many rich people think that way? Save your money and your money will save you.
Back to the documentary, man. So this documentary drops and Roger Bonds is in it. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me was Roger said that Diddy felt like money can get him out of anything. What's your thoughts on that?
Ain't that more than half the millionaires in this world? Ain't that more than half the people who got it? Yo, listen to me, bro. You save your money will save you. And this guy just thought that he could do certain things to either buy his way out of that if he had to. And he has done that on numerous of times, buying his way out of some things. But then again, when his people need money who were around him and work for him, he ain't got it for him. So, you know, it's funny.
I mean, you could even say he kind of did it this time. I mean, I looked it up and they say he spent 10 to $15 million on lawyers. So, I mean, and he got the main charges, the RICOs and all that other wild stuff, not guilty, man. So, I mean, he kind of did again.
Bro, that made up before he even went to trial, man. Come on, bro. And I've said this 1,000 times to probably 1,001 people. Your main two charges that you talk about in court, you don't even charge him with? Come on, Cam. The gun charge.
Right.
They
found the guns at his house when they had a proper warrant, and he never got charged. That's weird as a...
Right. The drug charges.
Yep.
Those baby oils had stuff in it. It even came out in the documentary, and one of the doctors them said what had it. Nobody carries that many and wrapped up in certain things. Come on, bro. If you was using baby oil, you ain't gotta carry it with you. Yo, run to Walgreens, give me 10 cases of baby oil. Get all the baby oil at Walgreens. That baby oil had some kind of chemical in it that helped you seduce the person and make them feel free or something like that. They were saying it was some kind of drug that was in that baby oil. Not only that, he ain't get charged with the physical drugs that they could see, the pink cocaine, all this other shit. So with the feds and me working around them and working with them, and what I mean working with them, me being a parole officer, you know what I'm saying, dealing in federal cases and stuff like that, they didn't charge him because, one, brother, I swear, it was a deal made way before they got to court. Cause that's in New York City, that was gonna give you 10 years. You get 5 to 10 years automatically. If you beat it in feds, it's 10 years.
That's how they live. Diddy always believed cash could clean up chaos. And truth is, he's pulled it off before. They said he dropped $10 to $15 million on lawyers this time, and somehow the biggest charges, RICO and all that, disappeared. Not guilty. People were shocked, but come on, man. That deal was made way before the courtroom lights came on. You don't just walk away from those charges without serious backing. Man, I knew him before he was even Diddy. Way before the fame, before the empire, before the headlines. Back when I first became champ, he was just another guy hustling in the scene. I still remember. He used to show up at my after parties carrying crates, setting up the music, hyping the crowd. He wasn't some mysterious mogul then, just hungry for the spotlight like the rest of us. So picture this. I'm performing, crowd going wild, 20,000 people packed in. I'm giving it everything I got, feeling unstoppable, and then bam, I slip and land flat on my back. The whole place gasps, but I try to play it off like nobody saw. You know that move, get up quick, act cool, keep it rolling. But inside, man, I was mortified. That moment replayed in my head for weeks. Everything back then was all about the Benjamins. And trust me, that was no exaggeration. Money, fame, power, it ruled everything. So when people start whispering about those infamous Diddy parties, yeah, I'd been to a few. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy to just walk in. You couldn't just show up. You had to fit the part. You had to look, act, and move a certain way to be invited behind that hallway with the door. Everyone in the know knew exactly what that meant. I took a few girls there once back in the day. The same woman I worked for, the Harlem Madam, yeah, she was known around the city, had to send 2 girls to a spot on 57th Street, Mike Tyson's condo. It was the 90s, man. Wild times. Tyson was the guy. The girls were nervous, said the energy was strange. But that single moment, those few words about the hallway and the door, lit up the internet years later. When Gene Deal talked about the atmosphere around Diddy's circle, the clip exploded. People twisted his words, pulling them out of context, turning them into something darker than he probably meant. That's how rumor culture works now. One phrase can turn into a wildfire of gossip overnight. Emotion always travels faster than facts. Soon, everyone online was painting those parties like they were some secret society event. People started dropping big names, Tyson, music legends, actors, like puzzle pieces in a scandal that nobody could really prove. None of it was based on new evidence, just old memories and big imaginations. When fear, fame, and power mix, people stop chasing truth. They start chasing shock. And that's what this all became. A storm of shock value over facts.
But some people are afraid. What do you know about? Because some people are talking about there's Diddy involvement with Jamie and something happened because he was calling him out for some of the parties he was putting up. Is there anything you have opinions on Diddy? Have you had any experiences with Diddy?
No, just I knew him for a long time.
Got it. And with you, he was chill. He was good. He was
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
I knew him before he was Diddy. I knew him for a long time. When I first became champ, I knew him. I remember him. He used to have crates when he used to have my after parties and stuff. Also when they were throwing parties. I remember
This
him.
is when he was the CEO founder of Bad Boy.
No, I don't think he was Bad Boy yet. No, he wasn't him. Damon Dash and all those guys. They weren't on yet. I was like the first street guy that really got on. You know, I'm talking about the guy doing crime in the streets that became a television guy, and everyone knew he was a celebrity, had fancy cars. I was the first.
This is all in Brooklyn.
I'm the first of our generation of that crew. You know, the street hustlers that really blew up like that.
And you guys all knew each other.
Yeah,
It's the same era.
Listen, this young lady that works for my company, and she started saying names to people I remember when I was 11, 12 years old. And it baffles me that you think you got away from these people. You'll never see them again. You knew them when you were at the worst of your level or heard about them. And you're not the only one God had his hand on. These guys made them successful too. And just to know them and see them at this level of the game is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's really, you're almost like proud in a way when you see them. You know what they experienced in life. And now they became respectable citizens.
Always respected me as a lyricist, as a writer. That's what kept me close in the circle from 2002 to 2009. But even then, that energy was strange. Those parties, they weren't for everyone. You had to fit a mold. They'd say things like, you gotta have the right look, the right mannerisms. And everyone knew what that hinted at. Then I'd be thinking, wait, why wasn't I getting invited behind that door? What made me different? Back then, I didn't think much of it. I was young, hungry for fame, just wanted to make it in rap. I wasn't trying to get mixed up in anything weird. I wanted success, not secrets. Back then, stuff wasn't out in the open like it is now. It was all whispers, no social media, no exposés. You couldn't even talk about it. If you did, you'd be blacklisted instantly. The people controlling the scene had real power, and if you didn't play along, you'd hit a brick wall fast. And that's when things got deeper. One of the guys said, "They don't come at you directly. They test you through the shoots. Photo shoots, music videos, that's where they made their moves. You'd show up for work, and next thing you know, there's a stylist or someone testing boundaries, trying to see who you really were." He said that's how they figured out who's playing the game, and who's just there for the music. And I wasn't fitting their mold. I was too street, too real. Baggy jerseys, low-slung jeans, smoking, chilling. I didn't fit their image. I wasn't the candidate they wanted. Those Diddy parties became mythical over time. People talk about them now like they were gateways to another world. But the truth is, they were celebrity magnets. Athletes, musicians, actors, moguls, all rubbing shoulders in the same rooms. Even the stuff found at his house, the guns, the so-called baby oil bottles, and the strange packaging, they all vanished from the case. If it was just baby oil, why carry it everywhere? You could buy that at Walgreens, right? People started saying that oil had some kind of chemical in it, something that made people loosen up. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But it added to the mystery. He didn't get hit with the drug charges either, even though people said they found pink powder and other substances. With my background as a parole officer, I've seen federal cases inside out, and trust me, this one smelled like a deal. Because in New York, something like that usually earns you 5 to 10 years, minimum. But somehow that didn't happen here. That's the power of documentaries. They can turn smoke into fire. The new wave of Diddy exposes change everything. Old clips, interviews, moments of silence, all reinterpreted to mean something darker. Suddenly, not saying something became suspicious. Keeping distance became guilt. But here's the trap. Documentaries can suggest more than they can prove. They're built on tone, music, and mood, and that can make people feel like something's real, even when it's not. Gene Deal's old interviews were chopped up and reused like glue, linking names, building tension, turning general comments about fear or power into direct accusations. And once the internet gets it, boom! The web fills in the blanks. Tyson's name gets thrown back into the fire, other stars get added, and the story shifts from what's true to what feels believable. Then came the latest docuseries, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. Alex, one of the producers, explained what made this project different. They spent years piecing together 3 decades of history. They wanted real voices, real sources, real context. 30 years of events packed into one explosive story. Curtis, aka 50 Cent, said he just wanted to make hit television. He started the project months before teaming up with Alex, and he compared it to how Quincy Jones built his bands, pulling the best people together to make something unforgettable. That's the energy he brought to the documentary game. Then they dropped never-before-seen footage, Diddy, in his final days of freedom. You could see the pressure building, lawsuits hitting him left and right, and still, he tried to keep his public image sharp. Watching that footage, you see 2 sides. One, the cool businessman managing chaos. The other, a man realizing control was slipping away. Alex said what shocked her most wasn't the footage itself, it was that he let it be filmed. Who does that when the world's closing in? But that's Diddy, always branding himself even in crisis. Of course, Alex wouldn't reveal who shot the footage. "Not revealing my sources," she said. But she hinted that working with 50 Cent made access easier. When 2 big names align like that, doors open. And that's where the debate starts. When does storytelling become manipulation? Revisiting the past is necessary, but if filmmakers don't balance emotion with evidence, documentaries stop clarifying and start amplifying rumors. They become echo chambers for half-truths instead of tools for understanding. Then word broke out. There's over 100 more hours of unseen Diddy footage sitting in storage. 50 Cent even said he might drop it on YouTube just to shake the world again. Over 140 hours of content, but only a few made it into the 4-episode series. That means there's more, maybe a lot more, that the public hasn't seen. And 50 teased it perfectly. If you see the rest of this footage, there won't be any more debate. That line alone sent social media into meltdown. People want the full truth, but at this point, nobody knows if what's left will bring answers or just stir up even more chaos. It's wild when you think about it. It's all right there in the footage. The stuff people are saying in the documentary. The parts that even 50 Cent couldn't believe Puff had the nerve to record himself doing. Yeah.
Walt was telling me on his way here, I didn't see this, but apparently there's another 100 hours of Diddy footage on the cutting room floor?
So Diddy is still doing press. I mean, Diddy. 50.
Diddy is not doing press.
No, he's
doing press on the yard.
He's doing press, like he's doing push-ups. No, 50 is still doing press, and obviously with the success of the Reckoning documentary, he's talking about there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has, and each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. Mm-hmm. There was 4 episodes, so there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or produced, and he's saying that he may put it out on YouTube, just to put it out there,
like on his 50 Cent Devo page.
I don't know if it'll be on his page, but he just said, he doesn't know if he's going to release it with Netflix or through Netflix. He might just, put it out on YouTube or wherever, some other platform. But the one thing that he said that was interesting is, he said, because you see people out here trying to, say, oh, the documentary can paint a narrative, this, that, and the third. And his words were, if you see the rest of this footage, there will be no more, kind of like, oh, you can paint this narrative. It's pretty clear cut, the things that are being said in the documentary, the things that he still can't believe Puff, because he says that a lot, like he can't believe Puff actually recorded all of it.
Yeah. But I mean, so why does 50 not put that, if it's that damning and that crazy, why not put it in the doc?
I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't put it in the doc. Maybe, the stories, maybe he had more people that he would need to interview and have sit down for the documentary to kind of go through those stories that are in there. It could be a number of reasons, but the fact that he has over 100 hours of footage of personal footage and things like that leading up to the case, because the story is Puff felt like he was going to win the case.
Yeah.
And that this was going to be footage for his documentary that he would have released.
The redemption.
After the trial was done and things like that. So, the amount of things that he probably was recording, just going off of the fact that he felt like they were going to win the case.
Yeah. This is my footage and these guys aren't going to put it out.
Yeah.
Like all the crazy we're going to take out.
Right.
But I mean, even I did see who I think was the director of what Diddy was trying to do had mentioned that he was on vacation or was out of town and had someone fill in for him. And that's the only footage that made it to the doc because that guy sold it. So maybe that director didn't pay the person to fill in, so he owned the footage and was able to give it away. But maybe all this other footage, 50 doesn't have permission to put out. Like,
okay,
he could have it, but the director's like, no, this is my footage. Like, you got the other I had my mans fill in for me for 3 days, and he has that footage now.
Right.
So maybe that could be it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like 50 is so petty that if it was that crazy, he would have just put the in the doc. But who knows? I don't even want to speculate what is on the 100 hours.
Yeah.
After Lil Rod telling me what was going on, I don't know if I want to see it visually.
I mean, and for 50 to say the footage that's on there is it leaves no more room for, people to kind of say, oh, the narratives are being created, it's false. For 50 to say that, I mean, we can only imagine the footage that he's seen and that he has. So we'll have to see if any of that ever sees the light of day. I'm sure that, Diddy's team is going to do everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen.
That's what he keeps saying. He can't believe Diddy actually filmed all of it. So then the big question hits, if the footage is that shocking, that crazy, why didn't 50 put it in the documentary? That's the $1 million mystery. Maybe he's holding back for legal reasons, or maybe he's saving the bombshells for later. Some say he just didn't have clearance for all the clips. There are over 100 hours of unseen material, all personal recordings leading up to the case. Apparently, Diddy was convinced he'd win in court. Word is he was documenting everything for a redemption documentary, something he planned to release after the trial to prove his innocence and reclaim his image. So yeah, he filmed everything, every move, every meeting, every conversation, thinking he'd be in control of the narrative later. But then things shifted. Some insiders said one of Diddy's directors went on vacation and had a stand-in fill his spot, and that substitute might have leaked the footage. Only the footage from those few days made it into the doc because the fill-in owned the rights. The original director didn't pay him, so legally the guy could sell it. Imagine that. 3 days of chaos turning into the most talked about footage online. So maybe that's why 50 doesn't have access to the rest. He might own copies, but not the rights to release them. And if there's one thing Diddy's legal team knows how to do, it's block footage from ever seeing daylight. Still, some people think if the clips were that explosive, 50 would have dropped them anyway. Because let's be real, he's petty enough to do it. But after what Little Rod said about what's supposedly on those tapes, I'm not even sure I'd want to see it. Even 50 hinted that the footage leaves no more room for doubt. That line alone says a lot. If he's seen it, it must be something the world isn't ready for yet. And you know Diddy's team will fight tooth and nail to bury whatever's left. Now here's where it gets tricky. One of the most dangerous phrases floating around online right now is, "everyone knew." It sounds powerful, like proof, but it's usually smoke. It doesn't come with names, dates, or any solid facts. In these stories about Diddy's parties and Tyson's supposed involvement, everyone knew gets thrown around to fill in blanks when people don't actually know. That's how rumors start to harden into truths. Repetition replaces reality. People stop checking sources. They just remember hearing it somewhere, sometime. After a while, it doesn't even matter where the story began because emotion takes over. It becomes about how people feel the story must be true, not whether it actually is. And that's dangerous, especially with stories this old. Memories fade, receipts get lost, and the details blur. The narrative shifts from what happened to how it feels to believe it happened. And that does real harm to real people, real victims, and even real accountability. Because when rumor runs wild, it drowns.
I was a party favor.
What does that mean?
I was a party favor. I was somebody you could take off the table.
So you're telling me they set children?
I set children on a table.
Like when you go to a birthday party and they have gift bags for everybody that comes that have candy and toys in them,
Yep.
and they set them on the table. So you're telling me at the freak off parties, they put children on the table instead of gift bags, and then people can do what?
Take you off the table and have even though it's against the rules to do certain things, like ain't full house sex. That's against the rules. Like for me, that was against the rules, but that didn't matter. That did not matter.
So they come choose you off the table, do whatever they want with you, and then what happens?
Then they put you back on the table.
They put you back on the table for somebody else to come choose you? Okay. That's called a party favor effect. That's just one of the little things that go on at the freak-off parties with children. Were there animals there?
Goats.
Did they turn the animals loose on the kids?
Yeah.
And if you got sick and threw up because it was so disgusting, what happened?
You had to eat it.
You had to eat your vomit if you threw up. That's satanic ritual abuse. Diddy was at this party? Denzel Washington was at this party?
Yep.
Birdman was at this party?
Yes, he was.
And Young Jock?
Yep.
And you're telling me Denzel was there and it was after 1 o'clock when he supposedly left?
And beanie, socks, and a gold chain.
So you're telling me Denzel Washington was butt naked, he had a beanie on, socks on, and a gold chain, and that's it? In front of children. Funny. Because he sure portrays himself to be holier than thou.
Well, so a lot of them do.
I think you also told me that one of those men have a birthmark.
Left thigh.
So one of those men have a birthmark on their left thigh.
Yep.
Did you have sexual interactions with Diddy? Denzel? And I know we don't tell on Denzel. You might not tell on Denzel, but your mama gonna tell on every fuck. I ain't keeping no secrets. Denzel?
Yep.
Birdman? Did Birdman promise you things?
So much. Like what he promised Lil Wayne at a young age. Because you know we shared the system together. Shared birthday together too.
I know a lot of you have seen P. Diddy get guardianship of a lot of young kids. That means he holds their contracts. I know you've heard me talk about Ali's contract and how often it gets auctioned off, and the things that come from that when it's auctioned. So when you're seeing that he was a guardian for these children, he's holding their MK Ultra contracts is what that translates to.
Founds out the truth. If something bad really did happen, it deserves evidence, not guesswork. But when gossip spreads unchecked, it weakens every legit claim that follows. The internet loves drama. It's addicted to it. But that hunger for the most shocking version of the story ends up burying justice under clickbait. And when Gene Deal talks about fear, people twist that too. Fear doesn't always mean something criminal. It often just means power imbalance. Imagine being young, stepping into a room full of millionaires, celebrities, executives, people who could make or break your career with one phone call. That kind of atmosphere breeds pressure. One wrong word, one wrong move, and your shot at fame could disappear overnight. Those elite parties in the late 90s and early 2000s, they weren't just about music or fun. They were about status. And that creates tension. People get quiet, they play along, they don't speak up, not necessarily because something illegal is happening, but because the vibe demands silence. So when people hear that the girls were scared, they instantly assume the worst. But fear doesn't always equal crime. Fear can come from hierarchy, reputation, and uncertainty. You walk into a room filled with powerful names, Tyson, Diddy, top execs, and suddenly you realize how small your voice sounds. That alone can make someone freeze up. And that's the key point people miss when they mix Mike Tyson's name into this mess. Just because his presence carried weight doesn't mean he was part of anything shady. Sometimes fear in those circles comes from how much power is floating in the air, not from what's actually happening behind the scenes. The internet loves to connect dots that don't belong together, but truth isn't a guessing game. Without evidence, everyone knew is just noise dressed up as knowledge. It's almost unbelievable when you think about it. The footage is real, the conversations are real, and even 50 Cent himself says he can't believe Diddy actually filmed it all. That's the part people keep repeating. He really recorded everything. So the question everybody asks is obvious. If what's on those tapes is that wild, that damaging, why didn't 50 include it in the documentary? Maybe there are legal walls around it, maybe ownership issues, or maybe he's saving it for the perfect moment. Over 100 hours of unreleased footage sits somewhere, filmed by Diddy himself while he thought he'd win the case and release his own redemption story later. Some insiders say only a few days of footage made it into The Reckoning because of a contract loophole. One assistant director owned the rights to what he shot and later sold it. That tiny slice became the footage that blew up online. The rest, locked away behind lawyers and NDAs, might never see daylight. And honestly, 50's reputation makes it believable. If the clips were that shocking, he'd drop them in a heartbeat. But after what insiders claimed about those tapes, maybe he's holding back for reasons deeper than pettiness. Even he said the unseen footage leaves no room for debate. Whatever that means, Diddy's team will fight to keep it buried. Now here's where the conversation takes a darker turn. The internet loves to say, everyone knew. It sounds convincing, but that phrase almost never comes with proof. In the stories swirling around Diddy's parties and the supposed connections to big names like Tyson, everyone knew becomes a shortcut between rumor and certainty. That's how myths harden into truth. People repeat it until it feels real. No names, no receipts, no timeline, just echoes of a story that grows each time it's retold. Over decades, details fade, memories bend, and the emotion becomes stronger than the evidence. Suddenly, the past isn't about what happened. It's about what people believe happened. And that's dangerous. It erases real accountability and confuses rumor with reality. If something wrong occurred, it deserves solid proof, not whispers. But when gossip spreads unchecked, it hurts genuine victims and turns justice into entertainment. When Gene Deal spoke about fear, people ran with it, but fear doesn't always point to crime. In celebrity spaces, fear often means power imbalance. Young artists, assistants, models, anyone stepping into those elite rooms felt the pressure. One word could ruin your reputation, one wrong move could end your career. That alone could make people stay quiet. At those massive parties during the height of fame-driven culture, the energy was intense. Careers could rise or fall in a night. That atmosphere created silence, and silence got mistaken for guilt. When people heard the girls were scared, they assumed the worst. But fear can come from intimidation, not abuse. Sometimes it's the weight of fame itself that makes people freeze. Tyson's presence, for example, carried power by default. Just being in the same room as global icons could be overwhelming. That doesn't mean something criminal happened. It just means the hierarchy was real and everyone felt it. This confusion between fear and wrongdoing still fuels today's rumor cycle. Every emotional reaction becomes reframed as evidence. Every powerful figure becomes suspect by default. That's how stories mutate online. Fast, messy, unstoppable. Yet the heart of the issue is accountability versus assumption. We live in an era demanding transparency, but speed often wins over verification. The new documentaries and endless commentary about Diddy's legacy open space for overdue questions, but also for wild speculation. Tyson's name keeps reappearing not because of new findings, but because he fits the narrative people already believe. And once a story feels true, no one wants to unlearn it. Emotion replaces logic, and suddenly, reputation becomes destiny. That's how history gets rewritten in real time, click by click. So what's left when the noise fades? Not proof, just perception. Tyson admitted to past mistakes, Diddy's parties became symbols of excess. Gene Deal spoke about imbalance, and the internet fused them all into one giant story that feels complete but isn't. The danger isn't asking hard questions, it's answering them without evidence. Attaching famous names to unproven stories may look like accountability, but it can easily turn into distortion. If the goal is truth, then clarity must beat outrage. Context must outweigh clicks. Facts have to stand taller than feelings. Because if we keep trading evidence for emotion, every person from that chaotic era becomes trapped inside its darkest rumors forever. That doesn't bring justice, it just builds confusion. Real truth needs protection, and in a world addicted to scandal, guarding that truth might be the hardest job of all.